Well, good morning, Alfredo. Tell us a little bit about your flight experience in the B-26 at the Bay of Pigs and some of the preparations you went through at Happy Valley.
Okay, we started in Retaluleu, it's in the Pacific coast of Guatemala. We spent over there like 6 months. We were trained by American pilots, very good pilot, fantastic pilot, like that one that I mentioned to you, and the Mr. Simpson. I think he was a colonel in the United States Air Force. He was very good. And then we practiced over there for bombing using 250 pounds, okay, and we carry like a 10 250 pound 8 rockets, 4 and 4 each one in the wing, 5 inches rockets, and then the A-50 caliber in the nose, like this one over here, exactly like that one. And then we were practicing Retaluleu, Guatemala, in a lagoon. We got the 55-gallon drums full of air, and we were practicing with the rockets and the bomb, trying to. And then when we got ready, and the situation got ready, we moved to Puerto Cabeza, Nicaragua. It was close. It was right south of Cuba. Actually, you you go northbound, very easy. And then I was in the first strike. It was April 15, 1961. We were at 3 airplanes in an airport close to Havana, south of Havana, in San Antonio de los Baños. It used to be an American airfield in World War II also. And then I did my training over there as a flying cadet in the Cuban Air Force, in BC before Castro. And then how could I continue? I want to cut it out. No, not talk too much. And then we did the jumping from Nicaragua to try to hit San Antonio, repeating 10, 250 A rockets and strafing. And we had to make 3 passes each airplane. And then we got hit in the Alfredo, was another Alfredo, the flying, we were flying together as a pilot, navigator, or co-pilot. We got 2 airplanes, 2 B-26, that they got both control. I was lucky, I was one of them, okay? And then when we got a lot of heat, the anti-aircraft, and besides, because of before I got to go back a little bit, when we were approaching Cuba, that money, we got 250 gallons, a droppable tank in the middle of the wing. I got it doesn't fit from the wing to the main tank. It wasn't fitting the pump, or who knows, or maybe it was a sabotage. Nah, it was, it happened. It happened. So we got to drop it, and it was right in the coast by a town over there, that I used to visit when I was young. And then we got to test the A-50 calibers, and it doesn't want to shoot. It doesn't want to shoot it. We got little problems. But in one of the pass that we were with the nose right direct to that town, okay, and they start shooting. Say, oh my goodness! You had to pull the nose down, and then we were ready, and we were the 3rd in the formation. We were number 3 in Linda 3, and then we don't need to do the rocking anymore, because we saw the anti-aircraft shooting to the other 2 B-26 over there, right over there. So we got to make it the first pass, flying 1,000 feet, just 1,000 feet, parallel to the runway where they were supposed to be a T-33, some Sea Fury, and like a 1 or 2 B-26 or Castro, some other plane. And we tried to do our best. But it was a lot of smoke already because of the other 2 airplanes bombing, strafing before us. But I think that we did some damage, a little damage, but just in one day you cannot do very much. You have to keep on repeating, like in World War II. Remember, the people, they do sometimes two missions a day. It's unbelievable.
So,
and
so you're after your first flight, you exited, and is that when you went back to the Cayman Islands? Or?
Okay, yeah, we get to, we forget about going back to Nicaragua. We don't have gasoline, and besides, we noticed that also the other tank, we were hit. Even Mr. Ramo, that he's with me over here, he's a aeronautical engineer. He explained to me the set ceiling, but sometimes when they hit you with something heavy, or you got a leak. So forget about no going back. And they will tell us, the CIA, of course, everybody knows. It's not a secret anymore. So that you had to tell them over there when you land to the British in Grand Cayman that that you were Castro pilots, that you were rebels against the. Well, it wasn't true. Then when we landed over there, that we checked it out. We got one rocket hanging that it doesn't shoot. You know, maybe because in the process when they assembled the B-26 for the real McCoy for going the bombing, they didn't in a rush. And then when we landed over there in Grand Cayman, they call it the manager of the island, not the governor, because Grand Cayman very little. He was a wing commander, a Brit, in World War II in the RAF, in the Royal Air Force, and he invited us like for the tea time that they got, I think 3 or 4 o'clock, I don't know, something like that. And we went, we sit very, very, very nice with his wife, the kid, you know, typical British. You know how the British were sophisticated people. And then he started asking questions. Okay, tell me, he didn't mention that he was a wing commander, we didn't know, in World War II. And they said, explain to me what you did. And we explained it. Each airplane got to do 3 passes. And he said, no wonder you got so many bullets. They hit you. He said, and then he identified himself. That he was a wing commander, blah, 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 blah. He said, in World War II, we hit it once and we get the heck out of there, because the second pass, you got more chances for, and the third pass, in World War II, you're going to be dead. You were very lucky that those people in Cuba, they don't have the good training at that time. And that's more or less. And then we flew, we just slept over there in Grand Cayman. We flew back to Miami in a British airline. And I was explaining to you that we saw the Essex, the air carrier, and with the other Scott ships, and the captain of the British, or the flying the British airliner, he called us to the cabin. We were explaining, well, what the heck happened, or how we did it. And he was asking, what is going on? Because I never saw so much, but we didn't know that there's gonna be the invasion over there at that point, because it was a secret. If they catch us 1 day or 2 days before, we're gonna talk. You see what I mean? Very easy. And we didn't know it was going on, but we were assuming that it's going to be in the South Coast. Of course, from Puerto Cabeza, Cuba is in the South Coast of Cuba. It's logical. It's going to be over there. And bingo, the next day, when we landed in Miami airport, it was a bunch of CIA guy. He took us to the base in. The big base that was hit by the hurricane, Homestead, and we stayed there. And then there were 2 guys, and the other Alfredo, the other guy, the other pilot, he was married. He was a little bit older than I. He was like 4 or 5 years older, and he got his wife and his kid in Miami. He was desperate that they let him call, and they say no, because the invasion was going on at that time. So he had to swallow the pill and take it easy. That's more or less it. And then they took me from Miami to Rayo Air Base in Guatemala. I don't know why. They took in a C-54 or something like that. and we spent like two days over there. When we get back to Happy Valley, Nicaragua, it was almost everything lost. Okay, and you could see in that paper that I gave you that, I mean, there I put death, but I didn't specify how many people got death. Okay, I think there were like a 12 or something, no? Something like that.
But you knew Ray and Riley and Schamberger?
Oh yeah, we were chatting, having lunch every day, every lunchtime, dinners over there. It was a very small, the base in Guatemala.
They were Alabama Air National Guard pilots?
We didn't know at that time where he come from. But we knew because he was American. He got separate quarters, you know, because of the difficulty we were going to be talking Spanish, and then in English going to be a Rocco Mango. So they put it separate. Okay, that's it. But they were very nice people. One of them, the big shot of the American people, we got a meeting before moving from Guatemala going to Nicaragua. We got a meeting with those people, and he was trying to prepare us what is going to happen. He said, you guys, the 50% of you guys, they're going to get killed. So don't make so many plans. He was doing like a joke. I mean, some people say, oh, well, okay. Yeah, a lot of guys say, he shouldn't say that. But I remember thinking, that's going to happen. Because we're going to be strafing the airfield, and that's it. But I don't have a chance. That was my only mission that I did. Because of when we went back, everything was stopped. You know, by the government, also by the Kennedy administration. I think that repeating that invasion was at the wrong time, because the United States, they were not ready yet, and there were a lot of sympathizers with Castro. He fooled everybody, inclusive with the people that did the revolution against Batista, was the very wealthy people. Okay, and he fooled everybody. I could say another word, but it's too hard. The four-letter word.
How about at the Orange Bowl? Were you able to attend the celebration at the Orange Bowl when the prisoners were released?
No, because I was in Africa, in the Congo, in 1960. I went in November 1961, after the missile crisis, I went to the Leopoldville, the Congo, in Africa. We were 5 Cuban pilots that we flew in the Bay of Pigs invasion. We tried to help a little bit to create the Congolese Air Force. And we were over there as advisors, but the problem was the language. You see, we speak Spanish or English. Those people over there, they speak Lingala. The black people, they speak Lingala, they're African. And the white people, they were Belgians, so French. And so we got it. So we cannot be. We were not ready to teach those people to fly. They got some crew, some flying cadet already over there. So they were nice, very nice guy. They say very gentle. Oh, they say Monsieur Maza. Very funny. But it was the B-26 that you were primarily flying in the Congo? No, the Congo was at the beginning. It was still the 86. The same thing that left the Belgian people. The 86, it was I was always arguing with Mr. Erasmus. They got a C-46, a commander, and another airplane, and we flew those. We were waiting for the T-28 and the B-26 to arrive it. And they were talking about another Navy airplane, but I forgot the number of that airplane. But finally, I signed for a 6-month contract. But I was just married in 1962. I married in Miami in February, and then I went in November. And when I get there, everything was quite still. After I left the Congo, the situation was getting tough and tough and tough. Included a bunch of Cuban communists. They jumped from the Portuguese colony over there to the Congo. It was very close. And then Castro and Che Guevara, they were over there when my buddies, they were fighting against those people, the Cuban, and they get rid of the Cuban communists. It had been only the first time that we won against the communists. That's the only instant. But a lot of people, they don't know about that. Including a bunch of Cubans in Miami, they don't know anything about it. That we won we stopped the communist invasion to the Congo, Africa, which is a very rich country in some nuclear material needed for building the atomic bomb, the plutonium or something like that. Don't quote me because I'm not very familiar with that. And that's it, more or less.
Well, you should be proud. You fought on two fronts on the war on communism in the Cold War, the Bay of Pigs, and in the Congo.
I always, since I always remember my granddaddy, that he came from Spain, and he was with the fighting against the communism. Okay, they call it fascista, but he was not a fascista. He was a nacionalista. He was with Franco, and they get rid of the communists in Spain. Franco saved Spain. A lot of people say that he was a dictator. Of course, he was a dictator, but one of the very few good dictators. He stopped the communists in Spain. It was very good. And my granddaddy always say, never trust to a communist. Those people, they are bad, very bad people. And take a look, he was right. Very right. So that's the way that you have to experience, to know. Wow.
Ask him about his experience just flying the airplane. Sure.
Yeah. It was a very nice airplane, let me tell you. I prefer to land in a B-26 than the D-18 that I used to have in a air taxi in San Juan, Puerto Rico for going to the Virgin Islands. And the Twin Beach. Twin Beach is a pain in the neck.
You know these planes went to the Congo, right?
Yeah.
And there's a modification on the air intake cowling.
Oh, there's a particular plane?
Not this plane, but these A-26s, B-26s went to the Congo. And
oh yeah, of course.
To the air intakes.
Yeah.
We call it the Congo mod.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. We call it the Macasí. Macasí is in Lingala, so Swahili a word. I don't remember. Macasí was a guy over there, a young kid, teenager, that was in the Leopoldville TV advertising something, and they call it Macasí atrapa un boulder. That's in first. Macasí, I mean the kid catch a robber, and then it was funny, and we call it the Macasí. And they put a lot of Macasí. But I didn't flew. I left before that time. I've been a beginner, but I never end. I hope that someday maybe I go back to Cuba to end. I'm getting too old, 74 right now, and yeah, I better hang my wing in the world. Does it satisfy you more or less? Give you some idea that, I mean, we could talk hours and hours about that. Even still, my memory is okay.
Well, tell us about the first time you took the controls of the B-26. What did you think of the airplane?
Well, I was landing over there in that landing strip. It was a little bit. It was easy. I was expecting that it's gonna be tough, but because when I left Cuba, I was flying the T6, and then the Sea Fury. Very few hours in the Sea Fury, the British airplane, and then as a co-pilot on the C-47, and you know they got the wheel in the tail. It's totally different from the tricycle, and I found this very easy. So this is a piece of cake.
So where did you first fly the B-26?
Over there in Guatemala. Guatemala.
Yeah. In 1960?
Yeah, 1960. No, wait a minute. Yeah, 1960, at the end of 1960. I left Cuba October 20, 1960. I spent like a week and a half in Miami, and then we went to Retaluleo, Guatemala, right away. And yeah, it was in October, November, more or less, in 1960. And we did the invasion April 15, 1961. The first strike. I don't know if you're going to understand my bloody accent. I will never get rid of that.
We'll have your friend translate.
Translate. Jeez. Well, that's the way it is. In June I went to Europe. I was in London, and geez, at the first few days it was very tough to understand the Brits. And one of the Brits, they told me, "Where are you from?" I said, "Well, I always say guess." I said, "I don't know." "So you are not a British?" I said, "No." I told him, "Well, with this bloody accent." And they said, "No, I live over there in Fort Worth, Texas." Well, he said, "No, but you are not an American. You got an accent, it's Spanish, more or less." I said, "Oh, yes." And he told me that, "Anyway, you speak funny." He said, "Well, if you go to Fort Worth, you're going to be speaking funny also." And he laughed. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, Alfredo, I want to say something real quick, at least on the recording. We need to realize that this year is the 50th anniversary of the Bay of Pigs invasion, which is 50 years ago that you accomplished that mission. Yeah. 50 years later, you said earlier to us that you felt that the invasion happened too early. And if you think that if the invasion had occurred 5-10 years later, you think the Cuban people would have rallied behind you guys and the outcome would have been a little bit different? Do you still believe that? Do you strongly believe that?
Oh yeah, of course. I think so. I think that maybe after the first 10 years, the honeymoon was over for Castro already. There were so many Cubans inside already. I mean, there were a bunch of people like we say, in defense. Climbing the fence to see from both sides, to see what happened, to which side they're going. But the 10 more years, it could be, but 10 more years, you know, the political situation changed too much, including the United States. At that time, maybe we don't have a place that we got it at that time. They were like in Guatemala, Nicaragua. At that time, it was Somoza, that he was a tough dictator. So we got more chances with Somoza as a dictator that elect the government. You see, they had to you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But one last question, and I'll let you guys go. But were you also aware with the group of pilots that you were flying in Nicaragua and in Cuba, were you aware of the significance of that moment as far as fighting the Cold War? Because you were fighting in one of the fronts, if the many fronts of the Cold War at the time. Were you had a sense of that awareness that you were fighting the Cold War, or that you were fighting only for the liberation of Cuba? Were you able to separate both, or you had the invasion in that bigger context of fighting the Cold War against the Soviets?
Well, Erasmo, at that time, I was too young, very young. And then I don't have the crystal ball to see the future. We didn't know too much about the Cold War. Okay, when the North Korean invaded across the 38 parallel, I was even younger. I didn't like it. I was against that because of my ancestors, that they always push the communists bad, communists is bad, be aware of those people, always fight it. And then I was aware of the communists that they want to take over the war, you see what I mean? But at that time, yeah, I knew that we were fighting first of Cuba, then for the war, to get rid of the communists. Because they were the Russians over there already. They were at the beginning. But I saw when I left Cuba in 1960, there were a bunch of Russians already in Cuba. Yeah, I remember even they got a show, or agricultural show in Havana, and they got the tractors. And I went with a friend of mine that he used to have a farm in Cuba. He said, take a look at those Russian tractors. They are a copy of World War II American tractor. they are obsolete. These people, what the heck? These people, they don't know. And at that time, we were using in Cuba the latest model of the John Deere's, and those Russian tractors, they were a piece of trash compared with the people that start getting blind. You see, man, 4 years ago.
Okay, so what you're saying is that even before you left Cuba for the United States, you were already seeing some of the Russian influence in Cuba by seeing those products coming in and expositions and things like that. So we're already trying to put the foothold in Latin America.
Oh yeah, Miko Yang, he was over there in that fair that I was talking about. Miko Yang,
the Prime Minister. Okay, thank you, Mr. Maza.
Okay.
Well, how about in the Congo? I mean, did you see any evidence of the Soviet Union in the Congo while you were there?
Oh yeah, of course. I saw because we were in charge of to take care of the supply, what we got, and to start, because they were coming right away, the T-20A and the B-26, they were hoping for, and to see what we got. And it was a bunch of gears, bionics, things like that, Russians, avionics, not bionics, I'm sorry, avionics, and part in Russia, that you could see the Russian letters. And of course, it was no secret that the Patrice Lumumba, the Prime Minister, before Joseph Mobutu, that incidentally we were living in the Leopoldville, we were living in the Paracommand, field Paracommand in French, meaning the air troopers. And we were the next door to Joseph Mobutu, the big shot. At that time, he wasn't that guy, and then with the running of time, he became a thief and not a good guy. He became a multi-millionaire. But at that time, he was doing okay for the country. But you know, the Congo, they are a very young country, and they don't have the expertise. They goofed, okay?